Hey guys, today we're going to talk about being a school counselor in the public school setting. If you end up getting a job in a public school, there's certain considerations and implications that you should be aware of, and so we're going to dive into that today. So, Ask a Model, they recommend a counselor to student ratio of 1 to 250. When you click on the 2013-14 ratios, you find that on average, throughout the nation, those ratios are much higher. In California, the average number of counselors to students, it's about 1 to 820 right now. And the one state higher than California is Arizona. So unfortunately, depending on the district or the school that you work in, your caseloads could be much higher. For example, the first position that I had, my caseload was 550, and I'm now at a public school, but our caseloads are a little bit closer to about 350. So still both above the average, but it just depends on where you end up, something to be mindful of. It's really important to get to know your district. Each district's counseling department may be broken up into different sections. For example, our counseling department, we have 7 academic counselors, we have 1 college counselor, and 1 more mental health counselor. I've seen districts where they have what's called college techs or career coordinators, or school counselors who do absolutely everything. So it's important to get to know the breakdown of the school, what your position is, and your counseling team. There's a lot of district initiatives too that's really important to get to know. Oftentimes, your board of education in your district may have objectives and goals, and that may affect funding of your counseling department, budget cuts, or just the general direction of where the school's going. So, if at all, it's really important to be involved, attend board meetings, prepare board reports on what you and your counseling team are doing, so that you can feel knowledgeable and prepared, and also be able to showcase your roles within the school setting and how that fits. So I know this title is a little bit harsh, but truly I thought it was kind of funny and slightly appropriate. To beat your enemy, you have to become their friend. It's really important that you really just understand what you're working with to be able to work with that. Oftentimes, when you come into a new district, it can be a little intimidating, or you can maybe feel like you want to come in hot and just come with all these new ideas and new programming, and it can really get people a little bit scared, nervous. There's not a lot of buy-in right away, so there's a few things that we need to understand while you're getting to know your school and your role within that. So we talked about this in the first slide, but your counseling department and its structure. Do you have a head counselor? Who's your counseling team? Who are the people who have been there forever, who won't change? Who are the people who have been there but are looking for a little bit of a fresh start? Get to know the people who would be excited to start a new program with you or be on board with your new ideas. Again, district initiatives, board initiatives, incredibly important to stay on top and aware of what's going on in your district. Budget sources, this is really big. Depending on your school district and their budget and the support of parents or the support of your education foundation, this may affect how much you're able to do with your programming. For example, if you want to rent a bus and take a group of students to a college, will the PTA cover the cost of the bus and lunch for your students so that you can make this a free trip for students who otherwise would not be able to visit a college campus? Or are you able to fly in a guest speaker? Anything that you can think of for your counseling department, it's important to know who your budget source is. It's also important to attend those meetings. So if the Parent-Teacher Association is hosting their monthly meeting, attend the meeting, give an update about what the counseling department's doing, let them know where their money is going and how many students they're helping, so that there's an emotional connection and they're more apt to continue to fund your programming. Excuse me. Student-parent culture and expectations. It's incredibly important to get to know your student population. How involved are the parents? How over-involved or uninvolved are the parents? What are the cultural norms within your community? What's the breakdown of your students? Is there a college-going culture? If there's not, how come? Is there a stereotype? Just finding the ins and outs of the people that are in the school. And I find that it's better once you understand your student population, and even if you're from a different background, counseling them from an approach where you understand the cultural implications, the family and the home environment, how connected the student is at school, can make conversations about college and career readiness much easier. For example, if you have students where their families are very disconnected, they're working full-time jobs, they have a hard time, they're just getting to school, they're getting their brother and sister to school, the student has picked up a job after school to take care of the family, sitting them down for a conversation about what college they want to go to or what career they've chosen is kind of it might not be on the forefront of their mind. So being mindful of your students' backgrounds and where they're coming from and what their day might look like can be helpful before you start your conversations. I would also download this link. I'm going to provide this PowerPoint for you to download. ASCA published appropriate and inappropriate roles for counselors. I've been in school districts where counselors have ran and administered the entire PSAT to their school or AP exams, and ASCA clearly states that counselors should not be a part of assessment and exam organization, because it truly takes away your counseling time. So it's important that you know these standards so that if and when you get placed with a duty that you don't feel comfortable with or takes you away from your counseling program and counseling your students and your families, you're able to confidently show them what's appropriate, not what's not appropriate. So you have a large caseload. Work with what you have, not against what you have. If you do have a large caseload, take a look at the other counselors and resources that you have on campus. You can't clone yourself, but you can find nuggets and pockets of the school to help amplify your program. Peer tutoring, you can set up peer mentors with older students, a program where you have an interview and an application process, and it's a vetted system, so you can have older students helping younger students. You may have a career coordinator or a career tech. This may be a full-time or a part-time person, but they're able to help put together things like resume workshops, mock interviews, help you for career day, bring in career speakers. Your counseling team. Again, you may have counselors who aren't as apt for change, but if you can find some counselors that can work with you and support your programming, they can help you. Your teachers with specialty interests. So, for example, we had a medical science academy teacher. She taught a track for students interested in health sciences and pre-med. She was a teacher where we were able to give target career and college presentations towards students interested in health sciences. You set up a speaker in the classroom, and that speaker is able to educate 30 students while you're in your office doing something else. Professional development. It's incredibly important to be up to date on changes and trends in the world of higher education and career education. Every year, college admissions requirements change. There's new initiatives. There's new deadlines. There's new information. There are new careers. The statistic from the U.S. Bureau of Labor said that 65% of students will be in positions that haven't even been created yet. So it's incredibly important that you be a part of and attend professional development and professional organizations so that you can have up-to-date access to information. If you have a budget from your school, again, go back to your budget sources, what you're working with. There are some amazing professional development conferences that you can attend. The National Association for College Admission Counseling, NACAC, has an annual conference. It's a huge conference. They have college admission representatives from colleges nationally and internationally. They bring in people from College Board, ACT, financial aid, independent companies, and it's a week-long conference where they have sessions on up-to-date information and best practices, and you can network as well. There are regional ACACs as well. So for California, you would be in the Western Association for College Admission Counseling. They have one-day Share, Learn, Connect workshops that are budget-friendly to a week-long conference. There are UC and Cal State University conferences once a year, fairly budget-friendly and accessible. There are college trips and breakfasts and luncheons. Colleges will sponsor a one-day luncheon or a fly-in program to get you to their campus so that you can explore programs and better fit your students. If you're out of the office and the college center is quiet, it's really important to help families understand what you're doing when you're away. This is a great PR tool for yourself. It's also great to just keep note of what you've been doing all year. Help families understand that you are out there networking with colleges. You're out there getting the most up-to-date information so that when a student comes and sits in your office, you're able to best fit them with a post-secondary opportunity. I communicate through a blog. A weekly communication or an email is just simple enough. And also share your resources with faculty members. Sometimes faculty members don't understand what counselors do, let alone if you're away on a trip, they might not get it. So if you're able to provide them with information, that's incredibly helpful. If you don't have a budget, that's perfectly fine. You just have to think outside the box. Conferences host a lot of scholarships and sponsorships, so sometimes it's a simple application, or another school that does have a budget is able to take on you as a scholarship. Colleges will host fly-in programs with very minimal out-of-pocket costs. You just need to get approval for your time being gone. There are group communication online chat rooms through those professional organizations that we mentioned before. There's free webinars. ACT, College Board offers them. NACAC offers them as well. Also, ask an outside expert that you know that's reputable, that's current in the field, to do a professional development for you and your faculty. So you could have a test prep company who can come in and share updates on the SAT or ACT best practices, financial aid, summer programs, letter of recommendation workshops, all of these. It's really important that you can be the best PR person. A counselor is truly one of the most misunderstood roles in a school setting. You're not held accountable to a bell schedule. You don't have a set class coming in and out. You don't have assignments. You don't post grades. They see you in your office on your computer, but they don't necessarily understand exactly what you do. Especially a college and career counselor, especially a college counselor where you're out of the office traveling a lot, looking at colleges, going to conferences. So help the entire school environment understand what your role is, including your admin. I create a yearly report at the beginning and at the end of every year, as well as updated communication throughout. So at the beginning of the year, you can share an overview of your program. These are the students you target. These are the services you offer. Throughout the year, post email communications, flyers of upcoming events, resources, what's the counseling office doing. Keep track of the success of your programs. A simple survey at the end of programs or keeping track of how many students attended the program can help with that. And you know, if time allows, be present throughout the campus in different ways. Go to the school play, pop up at assemblies, show up at games. The students love to see you there, and it's a great PR move for you as well. So again, we mentioned this before, but just to dive in a little bit deeper, bring in reputable resources to amplify your message throughout the school. Counselors. There are a lot of independent counselors, independent college counselors, who can come in and put on some free resources for you. For example, at the beginning of every year, I have outside counselors come in and have one-on-one essay brainstorming workshops with brainstorming sessions with our students. So if you don't have time to sit with 10 students in a day and give each student a half an hour to brainstorm on their college essay, you can have an outside person who's reputable, who's not going to sell their business, but come and give their time to sit with a student, give them feedback on their college essay. It's a wonderful thing that you can do. If you can go to another school and hear a guest speaker before you invite that person to come speak at your school, that's really helpful as well. Record your presentations. A lot of families say they're too busy, they have work, there's practice, games, SAT prep, there's so many things and events that the school has to offer that it's hard to make it to the financial aid presentation. So record the presentation or record a recap, just like I'm doing now through the PowerPoint, and email it out the next day. Here's what you missed, here's the resources, here's a copy of the handouts we gave out. So families don't feel like they're missing out. They have access to the information, and you can share that with everyone. Keep track of your students. You have so many students. It can be really tough if you have a student who came in to ask you a quick question, which happens all the time, and they share a small tidbit about themselves, so maybe something personal, and you give them a resource and they walk out. 3 months later, that student comes back in your office and you can't remember what their name is, or you can't remember that you talked to them. You look up their name, but there's no notes there. How disheartening is that for that student who shared that tiny detail with you when they walked in your office, that you have no recollection or record that you met with them? So even if a student pops in and shares something with you, take 30 seconds to go into your student information system and jot down that they popped in, they shared XYZ. Just make sure that it's appropriate and you take notes that are informative but also don't share too much that would be inappropriate for another counselor to see. Have students keep accountable and keep track of their work. So if they have done a personality assessment, a career exploration exercise, if they've updated their resume, if they've explored some colleges and now created a college list, have them keep track of it somewhere where you both can access it. Naviance is an online college and career exploration program that schools pay for. Not every school has it, but a good portion do, and we can explore that later in class. Be inclusive to all students. Remember, you may have a large caseload, but you are responsible for being aware for resources for students with disabilities, low-income students, AB 540 students. It's incredibly important that you're able to help connect those students to resources. Group activities. Group activities can be incredibly helpful, especially when you have a large caseload. So instead of saying the same thing to a bunch of students, you are able to create a lunch workshop and reach maybe 30 students at a time with the same message. College Mondays. This is a once-a-week lunch workshop that we have at our school, and it can be on any topic. Since I'm a college counselor, the fall semester College Monday workshops are heavily geared towards application assistance. So we might have a college brainstorming workshop and organize your activity and extracurricular activities section. It might be how to request your letters of recommendation. It might be how to explore colleges. And then in the spring semester, we have workshops that are geared towards pretty much all students. So it might be a workshop on exploring visual and performing arts colleges. Are you a student athlete? All those kinds of things. We increase a college-going culture, wear college shirts on Monday. It's helpful, it's fun, it gets the entire school involved, and it's a reminder of your role. Coffee with the Counselors. This is a once-a-month program, and it's just from 8 to 9 in the morning where parents come in. Sometimes I'll bring in guest speakers. Other times it's just an informal conversation. This is a great place for you to share and give huge PR to your counseling department. You can review upcoming events. You can remind them of resources on campus. You can share with them the things that are going on within your counseling department. Parents feel heard. They feel like you're taking time out of your busy schedule. It's a wonderful program. College Ambassadors Club. This could be a simple club that you have students who are excited about college or career and they want to create posters and spread the word and create awareness on campus. There are a ton of free resources on the online for you to download, and I'll be sending these out at the end of this presentation as well. And these are updated every single year by these organizations. So once you get a sense for where they are, it's very easy to download materials. And all the conferences we mentioned before, they offer all of the materials online for download. So just a quick recap. If you are a school counselor in a public school setting, you don't have a lot of time. You wear a lot of hats and you may not have all of the resources. Remind yourself, work with what you have instead of against it. Be mindful of your school population and your school community. Be mindful of your counseling staff, your administrative support, and your budget sources so you know what you have to work with. Data is your friend. Okay, it can show the programs that have been successful. It can also show reports as to where you are and what you're doing. And it can remind families, your administrators, and your school, your role within the school, which will not only help create awareness, but it'll also keep track of your counseling program and help you revamp it every year. You eventually will be able to turn a counseling program into something you want. You may walk into a counseling department that has been doing the same thing for years and years and years. Remember this though, it takes a little bit of time to gain respect. Don't rock the boat immediately. When you start a new position at a new school, take the time to get to know your school culture and your peers and your colleagues. Gain the respect and slowly start implementing program changes, and that will eventually make a big impact. Thank you guys so much for listening.